Hi, welcome back to Barbados Matters, where we check out the sights and discuss the issues. So have you ever wondered if your child has been negatively impacted by events or experiences that they were exposed to? Then continue watching this video. But firstly, as always, I'm going to show you another part of beautiful Barbados. So here I'm at Ragged Point, which is the most easterly of the island. It's 5 o'clock in the evening on a generally overcast day, and I'm looking further east. Here you can see the East Point Lighthouse. But what I love about the island is the array of colours in the sky from different angles as the sun starts to set. Here you can see the pink and lilac in the sky as I look in one direction. From another angle you can see the burnt orange in the sky as the sun goes down in the west. Beautiful Barbados. So during one of my previous videos, I addressed domestic abuse. Whilst it focused on the impact on victims, I didn't really speak to the impact on children. So in this video, I'm going to look at adverse childhood experiences, which is also known as ACEs, and how they impact children well into adulthood. So what is an adverse childhood experience? Well, it's basically a traumatic event or experience that occurs before a child reaches the age of 18. So let's look at some examples. Firstly, there's parental abandonment. I think we all know how a child is affected by the abandonment of a parent or even inconsistent contact with a parent. We can include here divorce in some instances and a death of a parent also. Now this would naturally be compounded if the death was as a result of suicide. A family member being in prison is also an adverse childhood experience. It could be a parent, a sibling, doesn't matter, just someone from the immediate family or household. It can impact a child. Another example is when a family member is experiencing alcohol or drug problems. And I don't just mean when the family member is using alcohol and drugs recreationally. I mean when it is causing problems in his or her relationships and interactions with family members, basically affecting their ability to function normally and carry out day-to-day tasks. It stands to reason that a child is impacted long-term if they're a victim of psychological, physical or sexual abuse. But what is often not considered is when a child witnesses domestic violence. Now this adverse childhood experience may be more common than we think, since 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men are said to be a victim of domestic violence. Now this obviously means that a significant amount of children are witnessing the abuse and therefore impacted by these situations. Now if you've not watched it already and you want a better understanding of what domestic violence is, then check out my previous video on COVID-19 and domestic abuse in Barbados. So because domestic violence is so prevalent, I need persons to really understand how it can significantly impact a child that has witnessed abuse or violence in the family home. Do not underestimate what children see and internalize regardless of their age. So what are some of the behaviours that we might see in children who've been affected by adverse childhood experiences? Well, there may be bedwetting beyond the years that this should have ended. There may be reduced attention and interest in school, often leading to truancy, and this obviously leads to low educational achievement. Now this situation may be more recognisable in children who've been performing well, and then it becomes noticeable that their grades have fallen significantly. A child who's been exposed to an adverse childhood experience may begin to act out certain behaviours, such as becoming aggressive or disruptive, particularly at school. Some even end up being involved in inappropriate sexual behaviours. Now this may be due to their vulnerability as a result of their emotional state during those times and beyond. Adverse childhood experiences are known to lead to substance abuse, drug or alcohol, which is often employed as a coping mechanism to deal with the traumas that they've experienced. And lastly, they can lead to criminal behaviour. Much of my work carried out with juveniles and adult offenders has shown that they've often been exposed to at least one or more of the adverse childhood experiences that I've spoken of. It's extremely important, therefore, to understand that the impact of adverse childhood experiences does not just affect children. The impact can continue throughout adulthood, particularly if gone unchecked. In some instances, and I again see it in my work with offenders, and research also says that persons who've been affected by an adverse childhood experience often would have been in prison or committed violence within the last 12 months. Additionally, they may take part in self-harming behaviours, particularly excessive alcohol consumption and drug abuse. Adverse childhood experiences therefore impacts on an adult's mental health. It can affect their ability to nurture fulfilling relationships, their ability to secure and maintain employment, thus impacting their long-term income potential. So I've highlighted the types of situations that lead to adverse childhood experiences and some of the resulting behaviours that are exhibited by children and adults. On a personal level, I think it's important to understand how our own behaviours, relationships and life events impact our children. And then it's important to recognise when a child has been impacted by an adverse childhood experience and the need to swiftly get them the support they need to give them the resilience to overcome the experiences. I therefore appeal to parents in particular that if you see your child acting out any of the behaviours I've spoken of, please take stock of what may be happening in the home or events that may have occurred that have exposed your child to an adverse childhood experience. And once you recognise and acknowledge this, seek help for your child so they can have every opportunity to develop into a well-adjusted adult. There are a number of agencies that can provide assistance, counselling or give further information where you can access help. To name a few agencies, there's the Childcare Board if your child has been a victim or witnessed abuse. If they're exhibiting behavioural problems, there's the Juvenile Liaison Scheme or the Probation Department. For drug use, contact the Drug Education and Counselling Services or the National Council on Substance Abuse. And please, if you acknowledge that you've perpetrated violence in your relationship, there's the Advocates Against Domestic Abuse as a male or a female abuser, and they can also help you if you've been a victim of domestic abuse. I'll leave the list of numbers for the agencies I've mentioned at the end. So I hope this video has been useful in highlighting what adverse childhood experiences are, what types of behaviours they can result in, and the importance in seeking assistance in supporting and redirecting the lives of children that have been affected so that they have every opportunity to become well-rounded, emotionally stable adults. So guys, thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and leave your comments below.